About the first 4 years, there was one host. Duh. I'll end up reading twice tonight, once for myself and once for Peter. For those of you who haven't been around the series for a while, my husband passed away in 2007, so later during the evening of the host, I will also be reading a poem for him. But first...
Oh, priceless.
It's my mother. And there's a little button on here that reads, ignore. Actually, I'm going to turn it off, but yeah, sorry, Mom. All right. Incoming phone. But it was on, so that...
This is a setup for a performance piece.
So, I have been doing the series, so I know what year it was that Peter stepped in as the first non-faith host, and it was 1998, so it was 11 years ago. So for about the first 3 to 4 years, it was every Wednesday night, and I hosted every Wednesday night for years. And I reached a point where I went, what the fuck am I doing? And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And Peter goes, no, it's a really good program. You know, I'll take it over for a while. And he basically was the life preserver. And I stepped away from the series for about a year, and he ran it. So he was the connector when I was completely exhausted with it. And he created the opening for other people to come in and be hosts. And over the years, we've now had something like 30 people in 14 years who have at some point or another been a host for the program. And so thanks to Robin, who's now the new booking agent, for deciding to honor all the hosts this evening. So the first poem, and the way that we're going to do this is a list. This is little cutouts. Robin organized this whole thing. She's so good. And there's all these little names. And so it's just going to be a sort of a random thing. All of the hosts are in here, and I will pull out the name of the next host. And they will pull out the name of the next host, and so forth and so on. So the first poem I'm going to read is actually for Peter. And later on I'll read a poem by him. And the first poem, the poem that I will be reading this evening, is called Confession. When I would lie, jumbled, across the length of you, all that was lost between us, a little more or less each day, or pushed aside, always arcing over the not lost, the not pushed aside. I pretended not to lean to the curve of sorrow's belly. Your hand on my knee, your tongue in my mouth, and then we would stumble. Or is it that I stumbled, and nothing ever changed? Black always claiming to be something paler, cherry blossom pink perhaps, or simply yellow. I do not miss holding myself apart, a defense against your pointed intellect. Oh, but I miss your wicked sense of humor. I do not miss wanting something more, or thinking there was something more to be wanted, but I miss my head on your shoulder. Please forgive me. I was forever too easily distracted by nothing. For this it is too late to make amends. For the rest of everything that faltered between us, I forgive us both. Thank you.
She's hosted a number of readings up in Connecticut. She's been widely published, and it's our pleasure to have her here on this very Bowery Poetry Club stage. So I trust she's making her way. I see movement. Yes, I see movement. So it's never too early to put your hands together. So please, for a wonderful poet coming down from Connecticut, Faith Vicinanza.
Thank you to Bruce for inviting Connecticut folks up here to participate. And I'm going to do a poem that's for my late husband, who read in this series a couple of times. It's called Confession. When I would lie, jumbled across the length of you, all that was lost between us, a little more or less each day, or pushed aside, always irking over the not lost, the not pushed aside, I would pretend not to lean to the curve of sorrow's belly. Your tongue in my mouth, your hand on my knee, and then we would stumble. Or is it that I stumbled and nothing ever changed? Black always claiming to be something paler, cherry blossom pink perhaps, or simply yellow. I don't miss holding myself apart, a defense against your pointed intellect, but I so miss your wicked sense of humor. I do not miss wanting something more or thinking there was something more to be wanted, but I miss my head on your shoulder. Please forgive me. I was forever too easily distracted by nothing. For this it is too late to make amends. For the rest of everything that was broken between us, I forgive us both. Thank you.
Okay, Faith Vicinanza. And we got
Call it Untitled. It isn't the pod of hippo piled atop each other for an afternoon of napping, looking like a haphazard layer of football players after the tackle, or the ones in the shallows surrounding the boat, unknowingly providing entertainment or learning from the boat captain and guide that hippo are closely related to the whale. It isn't the mud crab, a few inches wide, that the ranger spots in the middle of a rain-soaked and muddy intersection of trails from atop his oversized off-road vehicle that seats 11, or the hermit crab, St. Lucia's, who finally decides I'm no threat after standing there for 15 minutes, then he crests the cusp of his sand-walled crater, lingers there long enough for a photo op. It's not the spitting cobra, stone gray, midday by the pool, or the African dance with a cappella voices, though that comes close, the way the sunset over the distant mountains comes close, or sitting in the lodge writing poetry by the light from the stone fireplace, or the burnt orange haze that lingers along the jagged silhouette of the horizon before night invades this wild and remote place where there is no town name for where we are. It isn't the unexpected friendships, remarkable as they are, two couples, a mother and son and us, two single women, one widowed, one divorced. It isn't the thatched roof that takes shape during these days, bundles of straw balanced on the heads of two women who carry them up the long hill, return for more, or how a woman sits in the shade, gathers the straw, ties it into smaller bundles that a man tosses to another man sitting on top of the building, or how the straw knows right where to go, to the waiting hands that place it next to the last, and the concept of shelter happens. It isn't the giraffe, all grace and whisk and curl, or the anticipated leopard not yet spotted, the elephant seen only on another guest's video, nor the gangly heron, his meditative stillness, his blue, his gray, against a backdrop of dense equatorial vegetation. Crocodiles lounging along the water's edge of the gray, green, brown river that keeps secrets. Nor is it the sea foam green, almost yellow bark of fever trees that populate the bushlands, turn acres of South Africa landscape into a Zulu wonderland, and I am Alice, having followed the white rabbit down that hole to some place strangely miraculous, though that comes close too. And then there's the moon, always afloat in the African sky, all hours of the day and night. It isn't even the cumulative awe that clings and will come home with me, looking to family and friends as transparent as the tan of my arms. It is something more than even the sum of these particulars. It is a freedom to be here at all, to be welcomed by those who call this place home, to bring something of myself that will remain, take something of this place and its people with me that might be discernible to some. A pale light, perhaps, just behind my eyes. Thank you.
Well, welcome, all of you. Welcome. Welcome back to so many of you. But I do see new faces, and we're so glad when new people join us. I know some of that has to do with our featured reader, Martina Espada, who I've been trying to get to Mystic for a couple of years. So we are wrapping up our 31st year. Pretty good run. COVID tried to drag us down by the ankles, but we didn't let that happen. And we've shifted locations quite happily, so we're really grateful for all of you who made the transition with us from the Mystic Museum of Art, which is where you read the last time you were with us, Martine, years ago, about 20 years ago. And so we're happy to be here. So thanks. We're going to start tonight with Faith Vicinanza. I often stand up here and tell you how much I love and admire the poets that I've invited here, and it's always true. I met Faith about 25 years ago when I bought a derelict property on Block Island and turned it into an inn, and a group of women from Litchfield, Connecticut, known as the Monday Poets, decided to come to my inn for a retreat, not knowing that I had any interest in poetry. And so for 3 days, I just listened to them and made their food and emptied out all the pieces of paper from their trash cans because they were there to write new poems. Faith has been a mentor and hero of mine, both as a poet, but in particular as an advocate for poets. She started a small press years ago known as Hanover Press. Many of you were here last month to hear Taylor Molly read. Faith actually produced Taylor's first 2 books out of her small first book. I think What Learning Leaves, right? Out of her small press that operated out of a small condo. In the many years that we've known each other, she continues to find new material and stretch and grow as a writer. Recently, she opened her own art gallery in Southbury. It's Vicinanza Studios. But for those of you from that part of the state, there's workshops all week long in different mediums, many writing workshops. There's painting workshops. There's workshops on grief. There's karaoke. Faith is also an incredible dancer, and you can see videos of her competing online. She's also an incredible visual artist, and one of the items that she brought tonight, she does paintings and turns them into beautiful journals. So Faith's newest chapbook, one of 6, is Arturo, and she also has some journals on the table. And I can't wait to hear what you're going to read, Faith. Welcome back, and come on up, please.
That's a hard act to follow. Lisa is always so supportive and so generous and so loving to all of the poets in her world, and we are happy that she's in our world. So thank you, Lisa, for tonight. And I don't see Melanie, but thank you to Melanie, thank you to the board, thank you to all the volunteers for the many, many years of making this happen, one of the premier poetry series in the state. So last year, I had the distinct honor of being named or awarded something called the David K. Merrill Lifetime Achievement in the Arts Award. And thank you. And so I didn't know it was going to happen, and the commission, Southbury Arts and Culture, called me 3 days ahead of time and decided to give me a heads up. So I was very grateful that they did that. It gave me a chance to write a little poem for the occasion. So I'm going to start with this small poem called A Tribute. And when I refer to David in the poem, it's David K. Merrill, who's a very distinguished artist known throughout New England. Happens to also be a Southbury resident, so it's called A Tribute. What does it mean to dedicate your life wholly to one thing, to master it, David? To be a beacon, to saturate the world with color, one brushstroke at a time. What does it mean to inspire, to be a legacy, a foundation for those who come after? What does it mean to be someone who aspires? Someone who may fall short, but knows just enough not to stop reaching, to keep dreaming. What does it mean, this moment that will pass quickly as moments do, but will last a lifetime in memory and in the heart? What does it mean? It means everything. Thank you, and I appreciate your generosity. And you can chill until I'm done. So you can relax and just enjoy the reading, and then save your appreciation for the end of this reading. Thank you. So I run a program called Sunday Writes every Sunday morning from 10 to noon. And we spend the first hour writing and then the second hour doing editing and critiquing and talking about publishing our work. And I also write when I give prompts to my attendees. So the first two poems I'm going to read are fairly new, and they're written from prompts that I gave to the writing group. And the first one is called A Prayer for Our Time. If I renounced Catholicism, do not believe in God, believe instead in an earthbound spirituality, in nature, uphold that planet Earth is sacred and that everything in the universe is a manifestation of the divine, you are, no more or less, the embodiment of the divine, as am I. Or the monk, or the banker, or the landscaper, the CEO, the child, as able-bodied as any to hear my confession. And so I confess to you, as I might to a rabbi or a priest, that I fear I may lose myself to indifference. Compassion, a vague memory, as empathy cowers in dark alleyways. I fear I'll quell my outrage in time, silence my voice, accept my misgivings, and no proportion of repentance or reparations will bring me to the water's edge. Let me sift wet sand once more through eager fingers. Let me sleep again, unsheltered, humbled, beneath a night sky. Allow me the grace to see the miraculous in all things. Forgive me my self-doubt. This incantation, this prayer set afloat on the north wind, that you, whomever you are, might come for me, come to me, remind me I am not alone. And this is the newest one of the bunch from this morning, from today. And the prompt to the group was, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? When she asks, I smile, chuckle, knowing I am not interested in giving a meaningful reply, no excuses either about why I won't play. The list is long, changes from time to time, but the core reasons remain predictably familiar if you know me. How I think, know how I have a habit of second-guessing myself, despite a track record that implies otherwise, despite some level of belief others have in me. She asks again, as if repetition will win out, soften me, or catch me with my guard down. What's stopping me? I mouth reluctantly. Sleepless nights, though I don't say it out loud. Anxiety, childhood trauma, think it, won't say it. Sit silent, staring, smile intentional. At times, she is patient. She is always patient. Waits until I acquiesce. Pull up an old favorite, one that is true for most of us. Fear of failure, fear of disappointing others. Fear, too, of success, though less so. Fear, I mouth, half-hearted. Fear of what, she insists. Of course you would want to know the details, the complex hidden behind a simple response. I sit silent, contemplate. A vein I'll have to open to tell her, tell myself the truth. The next two poems are from a collection that's coming out in the fall called Breathe. It's about family. And so the collection has sections. The first section is father, and then mother, brother, husband, and then family. And there's an arc to the collection. It goes from the very dark to finding our way, right? We have to find our way in the world, or we sit in the dark corner with our thumb in our mouth. But these two are from the chapter called Brother. And so my brother took his life when he was 43. Wasilla, Alaska, December 12th, 2001. Before they scrub, scrape, disinfect, remove, I want to lie on the kitchen floor, rest my cheek in your blood that streams through ceiling vent, pools on white linoleum. Friends, family, husband insist and I stay away until cleaning crews come and leave. 3 days. What they cannot get out, they cover. Linen white tie-back stapled to stairs, walls, floors, the vent above and below. When they have done all that they can, I come to your house, now mine. Do not expect so much white. Your empty bedroom, the cold inside of an egg, blown clean. Tuesday past midnight. She drifts aimlessly past the open patio slider, out to the covered deck, peeling paint crackles under bare feet. Overlooked gutters mishandle this downpour, lightning veins the far horizon, reminiscent of her childhood when she'd sneak at night to whichever window would do, stare into the black for hours, watch for that streak of electrified white, knowing nothing that waits in the dark appears without illumination, not even her. These days, she notices little, in daylight or in dark. His absence gives rise to her own. She waits in this sudden rain for that thunderbolt of white light, for that jolt back from the dead. This poem, in fact, I think this is where I first met you, Martine. Rennie McQuilkin ran a retreat at the school near Sunken Garden, Miss Porter's, right? I think that's where we first met. And I was away at the retreat when my oldest son, his girlfriend at the time, gave birth to my first grandchild. And he was in critical condition, and the doctors told them he wouldn't live to see the next day. He's now 28 and brilliant and adorable and quite healthy. Your father says you are beautiful, so I wrote this while I was away at that retreat. Her tan legs, weary from the weight of you, now stretch. to breaking as she heaves and trembles and turns in her pain. We wait the hours she pushes, strains to bear you incomplete. Your father will say, even after they open you sideways, far wider than you opened your mother, that you are beautiful. Your father, her lover, my son, will say it again, again, and again, intending you to life, to the living. It is an incantation, meant to fill in the spaces in uncertain hearts, provide some relief from the scalpel edge, moment to moment considerations. We are all afraid. IV tubes in and catheter out, your arched back aching for the seashell milk of your mother's arms, yet the familiar beat of your mother's heart replaced by the beat of machinery, while your father says in early morning, dim hospital room and in late hours, you are beautiful, and you are. Regret. A quote. Pale death knocks with impartial foot at poor men's hovels and kings' palaces. Horace. She is too much cheekbone, frail, parchment, remnant, pale by standing always in shadow. Winter becomes her. Memory like loosed seed sprouts haphazard at her feet. She wants to be a photograph in his left pocket. Only she is here, and he is long dead. This one is for my husband. First snow. Even in July this last year, you wore a sweater to warm your thinning body. Winter would have been oppressive. Let me come with you, I posed as death took up residence in our living room, waited for you to notice him, then for you to lie down with him. This blustery November day brings down most of the oak's remaining leaves. Dead artifacts of summer congregate sporadic across the lawn, as if huddled against the relentless cold. I cut back the last of the flowers in the front garden, remove leaves scattered like corpses amidst the decay of astilbe and once red sedum. The sky unfastens a patchy dusting of first snow as I lay down a layer of mulch. There are more gardens to tend, to blanket, keep safe, the way I would have tried to keep you safe until spring. I'm going to end on this one, which has to do with my adventures into ballroom dancing. So on the heels of a major medical event, which it took me about a year to recover from, and one that was serious enough I signed my son power of attorney. I decided I wasn't going to go out quietly, and I took up ballroom dancing. So it's called It's Hard to Dance When You're Wearing Heavy Armor. When I thread my way through the white of a forest, previously untrod snow underfoot, a winter's slate sky, trees laden with white reflect the rising sun as if glass. The feathering white of my breath hangs in the cold air, all near silent save a faint heartbeat, my own, and that of a snowy owl perched far to the north, the heartbeat, too, of a hidden earth, beneath layers of white on white. When I'm standing at last at the water's edge, a veiled shoreline morning welcomes and I shatter the pristine. Slip free of this cloak of lamb's wool, osprey feathers, layer upon layer of pale cotton, beads and ivory clasps. Abandon this heavy armor meant to protect, then kneel, place a warm palm to the ice-overed edge of a steel lake. It comes to life at my touch beneath the retreating light of last night's winter moon, a white moon. I step unbound into the cool water, lean into the dance. Thank you.